Hi everyone, it's that time of year where we're all seeking inspiration for gifts for friends and family. So I thought it would be fun and hopefully helpful to make a list of gift ideas for the writer in your life. So maybe you've got a friend or a family member who's a writer, whether they're just starting out and writing their first book, or maybe they have published a few things and you know they love to write, or maybe they've been an author for years and years and years, or perhaps you're the writer and you're thinking about some things you might like to put on your own wish list. It's always nice to get things that are useful and thoughtful and that we'll actually use. So in this video, I will show you the things I actually physically have. I'll put some pictures up and I will also link everything below. Some of the links below are just examples and you might go off on a more specific tangent for the writer in your life. Anyway, let's get into it. I think that it's a pretty safe gift to buy a writer a book. All writers surely love books. So I've got some examples for you. First of all, writing related books. So this first one, this is The Writer's Idea Thesaurus by Fred White. This is really fun, and specifically if you've got someone who's just starting out and they want some ideas, let me turn to a random page because it's just full of sort of story prompts. So let's see. See, they're all different genres as well. Let's go for so many choices. Okay. The inhabitants of a remote volcanic island have survived not just by farming intelligently, but by securing favours from the gods through ancient secret rituals. That is, until now. They have not properly appeased the volcano goddess Pele, and now there will be hell to pay. So there's just tons and tons of ideas. So in fact, this is really good if somebody runs a writing group as well. So I think that's really fun. Another idea is maybe something more kind of publishy. So I only have one of Joanna Penn's books, that's Audio for Authors, which I got when I was recording my audiobook. If you know somebody who's working on some audiobooks, this is good. She has a whole series of books for authors, so you might want to have a look and see if any of them look like they might suit the writer in your life, because they cover a really wide range of topics. And I will say, Joanna Penn is an indie author, so it's always good, I mean with any author really, but particularly with indies, to buy direct. So do have a look at author's own website. Of course, I have to also mention my own book, Self-Publishing. This is the hardback, but there's also a paperback version. And this takes you from when you have finished your draft. So it's not about writing, it's about that draft is finished and then editing and all of the steps that go towards publishing your own book. So obviously I'll link that one below as well. Another example would be something around marketing. So this is Amazon Ads for Authors by Deb Potter. This is the 2023 edition. Of course, you could get the more up-to-date one. And I think anything around marketing is really, really helpful. If you know that there's an author in your life and they're really struggling to get those sales, marketing specific books can be really helpful. I'll also give a shout out to Leslie Sainty. She is a marketing for authors consultant. I've had her on this channel before. She has a digital guide to Facebook Meta ads, which is very, very good, but it's digital, so I don't have it. I'll put a picture up. And she offers things like a subscription group for authors. We have like weekly Zoom calls, and she also offers a consultation package. So you might want to perhaps pay for somebody to have a consultation with Leslie or somebody similar, and that might really help them to just have someone really go through specifically what might help them with selling their books. So it's not just books, but maybe that sort of support and information and consultation that would be really helpful. Hey, I offer consultations for authors as well. I do like, it's more like coaching for self-published authors. So I'll link myself if you're looking for something like that. Another suggestion is the sort of creative inspiration kind of stuff. I really like this book, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, which talks about things like muses and where creativity comes from. I love this, but similar kinds of books exist where it's looking at kind of creativity as a process or inspiration or how to get yourself working and motivation. All of that kind of stuff I think is going to be really appreciated by a writer. Another idea is things within their own genre or interest. So if somebody is writing fantasy, buy them some fantasy books. They're bound to like reading what they write. Another example, like I said, is if they're interested in a particular thing. So I write about nature. So these would be some suggestions for me. I mean, I own these, so don't. If any of my friends are watching these, don't buy these for me. I have them. So for example, Mapping the Deep. This is a really old book, but it's amazing, by Robert Kunzeg. So I love the underwater world, and looking at how they discovered what was in the depths is really, really interesting. I love that. It's old, but it's good. And yeah, I mean, you can go for classics, right? This one, Turning the Tide on Plastic. This is fairly new, a couple of years old. I think I read it last year. It's got a nice cover. We as writers will always appreciate production. It's a bit floppy and a nice textural cover. Very appreciated. Sprayed edges are always a bonus too. So this is really good because eco stuff. And another example is Wilding by Isabella Tree. So Isabella Tree inherited a farm with her husband, and they have sort of returned it to nature. I would actually love to visit it. That's another idea. Tickets to stuff like that people are interested in. Oh, I've got one more to add to my books I'm interested in pile. 1 second. That's a lie. I've got two. So the one I was looking for is Regenesis by George Monbiot. Again, I was writing about soil. This was really helpful. If you know a writer is writing about something specific, a book within that field can be really helpful. Another example, and no, field was not meant to be a pun, but I'm pleased with it. Something a bit artistic. So this is The Anatomy of the Sea by Dr. David Ponsonby and Professor George Dussart. This is out of print, I believe, but it's just a really beautiful sort of coffee table type book. So anything like that as well, kind of arty, beautiful, having them out kind of books. And like I said, high production value. So think about what they write about, what they're interested in, and you could go down that route as well. Now, of course, you may have no idea what books they have on their bookcase or what they might actually enjoy reading. So book vouchers, again, very much appreciated. You could go down the route of sort of a national book tokens kind of thing where they can use that voucher anywhere. Or you might like to find out what independent bookshops are near to the author and see if you can buy them a voucher that's specific to that bookshop, because we like to support our local independent bookshops. And then that's a really nice gift that sort of benefits everyone. For example, a shop that I really, really love that's near to me is the Folkestone Bookshop. So a voucher for them would be really, really nice, because then I'm going to go in there. I won't be tempted to go somewhere else, and I will support a local bookshop. So I think that's really nice as well. And you can just have a little look at what bookshops are near to the person that you know. If you are near Folkestone, do check out the Folkestone Bookshop. And another example is in the Folkestone Bookshop, and other bookshops do this, they have a scheme where you can buy a voucher that for them it just gets pinned up on a board, and no questions asked, people can come in and just take a voucher and use it against a book. So some of the vouchers will just be £1 or £2, and some of them are more generous. So people can come in and have money off of a book with absolutely no questions. You just take it if you would like it. So that might be a nice kind of thing to pay into as well, and say, I've done this for your gift because I didn't know what to get you, but I thought you might like that I've done this kind of in your name. So I think that's a nice idea too. Okay, my next fairly safe bet is that most authors are probably run on caffeine. So you can go for mugs, nice coffee if they're a tea drinker, some fancy tea bags, or like a tea subscription, something like that. Personally, I'm a coffee girl, so some really nice coffee would be really appreciated. I've got some mugs to show you as examples. This one here, this is from Typo. This is my daughter's, so her name is Zoe, so it's got a Z. This one, really nice feel to it. I like the colour on it, and it sort of just feels like a nice, good quality mug. It's, as mugs go, a little more expensive than usual. I think I got it in a sale. They do a lot of sales in there. It's got a letter on it. I know it sounds silly, but as an author, I am a bit of a sucker for some typography. But you can obviously go for a mug, either personalised in some way or thematic. So personally, I love a mug with a fish on it. Another example, I just wanted to show you this one. Obviously it says mum on it, so this is from my kids, but look at the size of it. A big mug is appreciated as well, because then I don't have to get up while I'm writing to make myself more coffee. So size is good. Think about how nice it is to hold, and think about what the kind of design is on it and whether that's a vibe that they might enjoy. So I think mugs, and you can get literary mugs as well. So either on the theme of their book, something literary, but to be honest, we're all gonna be coffee drinkers, I reckon. Now, my next one is I think it would be really nice to buy a writer some hand cream. We're sat at our desks using our hands, typing or writing, and to have a really lovely hand cream sat on the desk where you can just pop a bit of hand cream on while you're working. I think that's really nice. I would go for something a little bit posh if you can, but to be honest, I mean, this is the hand cream that is all over my house, a Trixo. I get really dry hands. This one is great, it's not very greasy, and I would look for that. If it's greasy, then you're getting that all over your keys and things. So I think something that's gonna smell nice. This is a bit basic probably for a gift, depending on who you're buying it for. This would be a nice, like, little extra, or I know that you like this hand cream, or I mean, I would appreciate this. people in my life who've been to my house would be like, she clearly uses this. But yeah, a really fancy hand cream. I think the one from Occitan, which is super expensive but really lovely, that one's good. Or things like the ones from Soap and Glory. If they smell nice, that is an added bonus when you're sat at your desk typing away. So yeah, a nice fancy hand cream with a non-greasy formula is a good one. My next few suggestions are down the stationery route. Pens is a good place to start. Now, before I sat down to make this video, I spent a good 10 minutes looking for a specific pen so I could show you it. I will see if I can find it online. I can't remember the shop it's from. My brother bought it for me, and it's a really beautiful, fancy pen, but it is not in the place where I thought I'd put it, and I cannot find it. So it's around somewhere. I've put it somewhere safe, but it's a really beautiful pen. So if somebody's kind of writing fancy letters, or they want to handwrite out their books and do it with a beautiful pen, or maybe it's something they can use for signings, depending on the kind of book. If they publish children's books, then only certain pens, Sharpies work better on children's books. But if they're sort of a regular paperback kind of author, then just a beautiful pen to sign them with. Very, very nice. And I really did appreciate that gift from my brother. Where is it? I don't know. I will probably find it the second I turn my camera off. A more silly kind of not high-end gift. My husband bought me this, I think last year. He bought me like a banker's pen. And the reason he bought me this, and this lives on my desk, is because my children steal my pens. Maybe I've suddenly realised where my pen might be. I'm going to go on the hunt. So this one, okay, it's not tied down, but it's harder to steal. So you could get something that's actually attached to the desk, and it made me laugh. So this sits on my desk, little kind of banker's attached pen. So it cannot be stolen by other people raiding my desk. So yeah, that was a funny one. I think it was fairly inexpensive. I'll find it and link it below. My next suggestion is things around notebooks. Where's my little pile of notebooks? Where have they gone? Here they are, one moment. Now, I am a person who doesn't tend to keep notebooks, so I use them and I don't sort of keep a big store of them. One of the nicest notebooks I ever had was a Moleskine one. They're really expensive. Don't have it anymore because I filled it. I used it as a bullet journal. I kept it for a couple of years. I wasn't referencing back to it, so I did get rid of it. That might hurt some people's hearts because Moleskines are really, really nice. But it wasn't something I was going to look at and my shelves were getting full. But it was beautiful. Do you know? I think my brother bought it when he bought me the nice pen. Anyway, another example, something like this, just something sort of pretty. Personally, I like this notebook because being ring bound, it opens flat. And so that means I can write on it without the pages kind of closing on me. So I like this, but I think that any kind of cute notebook, again, theme it around what they write, have a nice literary quote on it. It's always going to be appreciated. We're always going to use notebooks. And so this is one that I don't think I've used yet. Oh, I have. I've used a couple of pages of this. So you know, it's always going to be a handy thing to be able to grab a notebook, and I get through them personally. Another example along similar lines is kind of to-do lists, little cute notepads, post-its kind of things. The only one I could find that I haven't used is this one. I'm purposefully covering it because it's got a swear, which is why it was a fun gift from my best friend. So yeah, a little notebook kind of thing where you can write yourself little reminders, little to-do list kind of thing. Another idea is any other kind of cute stationery. So for example, I treated myself to some pastel highlighters because it's just really nice when I'm going through a text and editing it to have some cute highlighters. And I think that probably a lot of people don't buy themselves nice stationery. My highlighters had dried up, so it was time to get myself some new ones. But otherwise, I wouldn't have treated myself to these. And it does add that nice little when you're doing your work. So I think even things like this, obviously inexpensive, a nice little token gift for someone who's maybe not a super close friend, or, you know, if money's tight, or as an extra gift, those kinds of things. I think that little bits of stationery are lovely, or you could make up a big kind of hamper with all different bits and pieces. Another winner is stickers. I have a bunch of these that I bought on eBay or something like that I used to use when I wrapped books. But you can buy loads from small businesses. If you go on something like Etsy, these actually don't stick that well. I will say these were super cheap. I'm just showing you these as an example. But if you buy really nice vinyl stickers, they stick beautifully and they stay. My friend Whispering Wren actually makes vinyl stickers, and they're amazing. They stick really well. Don't know that she has any bookish ones. If she does, she might have I feel like maybe she does have a reading related one. I will put a picture and link below if she does. A lot of hers are kind of funny or political kind of stickers. But as I say, you could go on something like Etsy, go to a craft fair, you will find a whole bunch of vinyl stickers. Again, go for literary stuff, go for bookish stuff, go for things around the genre or interest of the writer that you are buying for, because we can stick things like this on laptops, notebooks, you know, they're really, really nice to have. While I'm talking about Whispering Wren, it's reminded me as well, bookmarks are a lovely gift. Whispering Wren, she does affirmation bookmarks, so they say things like I am enough, or I can't remember her others. You can buy a little set as well. They're inexpensive, it's a couple of quid for each one, and they're like a special bookmark. Personally, I get through a lot of bookmarks, I destroy them. So again, these people are book lovers, they're gonna love a bookmark, especially if it's relevant to them, or it's got like a literary quote, as I've said, all of the sort of thematic things. If you're buying from somebody like Whispering Wren, you're supporting a small business, which is really nice. And as I say, her ones are sort of inspirational, which is really lovely. You can also buy more durable bookmarks. So I've had like metal ones in the past. I have maybe two actually. One is a silver one that I think I got for my christening. I'll pop a picture up if I can find it. And it's a little heart that clips onto the top of the book with my name on it. And you can also get the little metal ones with charms that hook around the books. Or you can get bookmarks made of more durable material. Those ones personally, I do quite like them because I'm a destroyer of bookmarks, and they're a nice gift because they're a little bit more high end. I mean, they're not super expensive, right? It's still just a bookmark. Just be wary of things like my silver one does slightly tear the pages, and I have one that I sewed myself and the book doesn't sit flat with it in because it's too fat. So just be thoughtful of how well it will sit in the book and whether it will damage the book, because we can be a little bit pedantic about our books when we're writers. So yeah, stationery, bookish assorted things. Another idea, when we're sat at our desks, we're trying to create a vibe so that we actually get on with the writing and stop procrastinating. I think candles are helpful, or incense. So you could get a little incense burner and a few sticks of incense. This candle, I bought it, it's really nice. I bought it, it was from somewhere like Savers, I think it was Savers, and it was a tenner, I think. They're normally more than that. Yankee candles, always good. Again, you can go for small businesses, artisanal stuff, have a smell. This one, really nice and not too strong. Sometimes I have to blow them out because I'm like, that's enough now. But this one is quite subtle, it's nice. So this one is pomegranate coconut. That's it. That's the end of that sentence. Yeah, pomegranate coconut. Really nice blend, that is. So yeah, a cute little candle for them to have on their desk is always nice. So then there's a couple of things that you can book that I wanted to talk about or do online. So one is you could give a donation to a charity that's somehow related to literacy or, again, an interest for the author. So for example, in the UK, you could donate to the Book Trust. So they provide little book bundles for when children are little so that all children have books. And they also work with kind of reading for pleasure and promoting literacy and stuff. So they're really nice. But if you just do a search on the internet, you will find a whole load of literary charities. Again, as I said, you could also go down the interest of the author route. So for me, you could go for something like the Marine Conservation Society, or I don't know, who else, the Shark Trust or the Wildlife Trusts, or something like that that's within my kind of nature realm. But different authors are going to have different areas of interest. And so you could say, didn't know what to get you, so I made a little donation to blah, blah, blah. If they don't provide any kind of certificate, you can make your own. It's easy enough to just type something up and print it off and just say, this is what I did, wasn't sure what to get you. I think it's really nice if it's a friend who's sort of living further away or like a distant friend you don't see that much, because it's something you can post so easily and it's still really thoughtful. Another example is if you do that for, if it's like somebody's kids, you can do a donation to something that family is sort of into, that's to all of the kids. And sometimes, for example, if you donate to the WWF, you can get like a little toy and they get a magazine. So things like that as well, where they have an ongoing, they get some stuff sent to them throughout the year. And if you're buying for sort of a family, I think a donation like that is really nice, because that's something where it's like, something positive came out of it and you haven't just bought me stuff that I wouldn't want. So I think donations are nice. Another idea for a friend that maybe you see more regularly is some tickets, because you could go with them. So tickets to some kind of literary event. For example, this year, my best friend and I went to Holly McNish's poetry tour. And last year, my husband and I went to a Michael Rosen talk. And they were both brilliant. And I think people don't necessarily think of going to literary events. So if you've got an author doing a tour, or because some of them, poets in particular, do tours, but also like book signings with a talk, or even as part of a literary festival. And with literary festivals, you can buy individual tickets. So for example, I did a talk at the Folkestone Literary Festival, and you could get tickets to our talk, but after us there was Young Chang, and you could go and see her, and that would be absolutely amazing. So there's all kinds of events, so you could have a look at what's coming up in local theatres, local bookshops, local literary festivals, what authors they've got or poets they've got visiting, and buy your friends some tickets. And you could do that either, I've bought us tickets to go, or you could buy them 2 tickets and say, take someone. So there's such lovely events. And as I said, I don't think it's necessarily somebody's first choice to go, let's see what literary events there are. But if you're an author or a book lover, you're going to be all over that. So I think that's really nice. So tickets to a literary event or a festival. And what I was going to say as well, sometimes for a festival, you can get a ticket that's for the whole festival, or for like a whole day, so people can go to all of the events. So I think that's really nice as well. So look out for those kinds of things. So finally, coming to my last suggestion, why not have a look? And this might be a little bit more expensive. Some artisanal courses around either books or the interests of the author. So for example, you might be able to find somebody locally who does bookbinding. We have somebody near us who does it. I will link her. I forget her name. But yeah, you could go on a bookbinding course. You could make your own notebook or something like that. That would be really cute. You could also look for obviously writing type craft courses. There will be writers offering things like that. And I know that Emma Batten, who's an author near me over in Romney, does sort of writing courses where she offers sort of ideas, and then they do some writing around it, and hers are around things like churches and stuff. So it's all these local landmarks and looking at all of the really cool architectural things in churches. So something like that could be really, really fun. Or like I said, go for the person's interests. So for me, I would love to do things like making jewellery out of Seagrass, or something like a foraging course, or pressing seaweeds. Those kinds of things as well, I think would be really, really nice to do. So if you know the kind of books that person is writing, that gives you a sense of what they're into. If they're into fantasy, why not look at something like glass blowing, or I don't know, metalwork, or something cool like that, or a tour of some spooky place if they're a gothic or horror writer, or these kinds of things that just link in to what they do. So you could go for the course rather than the ticketed event. I think that would be really nice as well. As I said at the beginning, I will do my very best to link bits and pieces below, but a lot of my suggestions have been things where you could modify them to your own area or the interests of the particular person that you are buying for. I hope that was helpful. I tried to make it a range from super affordable up to some more expensive things, such as the sort of consultancy around books, or some of the ticketed things or the courses. They can get quite pricey, but it depends who you're buying for and what your budget is. So I hope that in amongst all of that, there is some thought of things that might be really, really nice for your author friend or for yourself. So thank you so much. I hope that was useful. Please hit like if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you have got some more things to add to the list. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And I'll see you all very soon for another video like this one. Take care.